Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva. This is such an intriguing matchup for many reasons. Right, we are approximately 48 hours from the commencement of it. We have Jake Paul, right, a YouTuber who has seemingly taken over the sport of boxing, and to give credit to Jake, has reinvigorated the sport of boxing to some degree, which has been a dying sport as far as popularity, at least from my perspective, for quite some time. And we have Anderson Silva, arguably the greatest striker in mixed martial arts history, based off his fights, based off his knockouts, based off his accolades, and based off his long reign as the middleweight champion in the UFC. So, what makes this intriguing are the very parameters that have been established here. Right, we have Jake Paul with only 5 fights under his belt as a professional fighter. Right, and we have Anderson Silva, who is near 50 years of age, yet recently, in the last couple of years, defeated someone who was a world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Yes, not at the same level that his father was, but either way, still a legitimate world champion caliber fighter at one point in time. Right, so people ask themselves, who's going to win this one? Who is most likely going to be triumphant in this fight? It's a very good question to ask, if I might say so myself. Now, breaking this down as objectively as I can, it's safe to say Anderson Silva has the advantage as far as experience, right? And most likely as far as boxing expertise, as far as technicality is concerned. Despite him not being a professional boxer for the majority of his career, he is an elite striker. Elite, even with just his hands alone. Now, why I think Jake most likely has the advantage is power and most likely speed due to the advanced age of Anderson Silva. Jake Paul is a legitimately good boxer for someone that is someone to be considered a novice fighter in the professional world, to make that important distinction here. Now, the way I think this goes can be in one of two ways. Anderson Silva uses his experience to his advantage, keeps Jake at bay, and he has enough power to keep Jake at bay, and still has the cardio tank, which I'm assuming he still does, even in his advanced age, and simply wins via outboxing Jake Paul. I think that's a very reasonable prediction to make on Anderson Silva's part. The other possibility is Jake overwhelms an aged Silva, tests his chin, uses his explosiveness to hurt Silva, and if he's even better than the last time we saw him, uses the optimal strategies to put Silva on his heels, right? Go to the body, press Silva with the power advantage that he most likely has, and using his very unique ability of timing for someone that's so new to the sport of boxing. Jake Paul has great timing. We saw it in the last Tyron Woodley fight. He was faking like he was going to the body, comes over the top, lands flush on Tyron Woodley. Very, very impressive stuff for someone that's barely been doing it. Now, what I think is going to happen, and what my prediction would be, is I truly think Jake Paul has the it factor. A lot of fighters fold under pressure. They fold at the idea of having all this weight on their shoulders. And Jake Paul just isn't one of those people. It seems that he's immune or resistant to pressure, at least on the surface. It seems both Paul brothers, to some extent, are immune to this pressure. That's a very, very unique trait to have. Very unique. We don't see it very often. We don't see it very often at all, to be quite honest with you. Someone that just rolls through individuals, calm and collected from the very beginning. Someone like John Jones, I would say, at least in the octagon, seems to not be fazed by pressure. Honestly. Someone like Floyd Mayweather. Someone that has that mindset. Someone that has a fortress of a mind when it comes to pressure. I would argue Jake Paul is one of those individuals, and that is why he's had so much success. He's able to zone in on the objective at hand. That's why he beat Askren, and that's why he beat Woodley twice. Even when he was compromised by Woodley, I think it was in the second fight, he still kept his composure. He didn't panic. He didn't start to make mistakes. He stayed composed. Very impressive for someone that's barely been doing this. He has the work ethic, and he has the mindset to make some waves, which he already has. And the advantage that he has is that Anderson Silva is much older. Much older. Chin has been tested many times. Enough times to be cut from the UFC. Enough times for Dana White to say, I'm sorry, you're done, Silva. You're one of the greatest of all time, but I can't see you take this damage anymore. You're done. He lost his last 7, I believe. He lost his last 7 out of 8 fights in the UFC. So Jake Paul has a lot going for him here. Now, to give Silva credit, like I said, the advantage he has is experience, technical proficiency, and muscle memory. He's been doing this since he was a young man. Decades of experience. Decades. Very technically sound. Very technically sound. By far the most technically sound striker Jake Paul has ever faced in a professional setting. By far. It's not even close. Not even close. That is Silva's greatest advantage. If he can weather the storm at this advanced age, if he has the physical capability to weather the storm that is Jake Paul, then he could win. It's a possibility. But the truth is, Father Time beats all. Father Time beats all, and I think we're going to see that Saturday night. I truly do. I truly believe that we're going to see that. And this will just further the legacy of Jake Paul. Now, I'm going to be realistic here. Does Jake Paul ever become a world champion? Most likely not. Does he ever beat someone the likes of Canelo, Triple G, or any of these other guys? Most likely not. There's a level that you can only reach when you start from your very conception as a human being. Guys like Canelo, who start when they're children. Jake Paul, I think, doesn't have enough time as a young man to reach that level. And if he did, he'd be in hell of an outlier. He'd be a Deontay Wilder outlier. Someone that started in their early 20s and became a world champion. The difference is Wilder has ridiculous power. Someone like Wilder has ridiculous genetic gifts. Now, does Jake Paul have gifts? Yes. But do I think he has gifts to that level? I do not. I do not think so. Right, so in the end, I think Jake Paul gets it done fairly early. I think his power does translate to later rounds. So that's my prediction, folks. That's my little breakdown and analysis of the stakes here. And the truth is, if Silva loses, it's fine. His legacy is intact. Right? There is more on the line for Jake Paul. Money, legacy, possible super fights. For Silva, his time is done. His legacy is intact. This is simply just a little bit of icing on the cake. He's the greatest middleweight in mixed martial arts history. He is the greatest. No one has taken that mantle, at least not yet. We got Israel Adesanya chipping at his heels. We got people like that, but they're not there yet. Silva still has that crown. So there you guys have it, folks. That's my prediction in my preface to this fight Saturday night. This is a new kind of video. Let me know what your thoughts were on my thoughts, and if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know as well. Hit that like button, and if I get enough, support and love from you guys, maybe I'll do more in the future. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below, of course. What do you think wins this one and why? And let me know just your comments in general on this fight. I'm very intrigued to see fight fans' perspectives on these kind of things, especially this kind of fight, if you know what I'm saying. So that's going to wrap it up, folks, but I'll catch you in the next one. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.